Hello, one and all. This is my view of My Hero Academia, Chapter 364, Why We Wield Power. And I am disappointed. I am seriously disappointed because, I wanted Bakugo to freaking die. I seriously wanted this dude to die. And again, I've said this in every one of these freaking videos, it's not because I hate Bakugo as a character, but just having a character die, literally die, and then be brought back to life by some miracle power, oh my, is one of the most harmful cliches in all of manga. Because, when Bakugo actually did die the last two chapters, nobody was really all that upset because they're like, yeah, this is Shonen Jump, this is manga. Nobody's actually dead until, they're actually dead. And even then, it usually doesn't stick. So, we had this huge emotional moment of Bakugo dying, and it's like, yeah, nobody believed it. Nobody actually thought he'd stay dead. And if he had, or if they just, kept up the illusion for a few more chapters, it would have added so much tension and drama to this battle because, if Horikoshi is willing to kill freaking Bakugo, the number one most popular character in this series, then nobody is safe. Literally anybody could die in this fight. But it's like, yeah, no, he's fine. Edshot cured him. Yay. I will say, though, the way he's brought back to life here is actually pretty good. I have complaints, but, they're not bringing in Eri or Overhaul who can just, we can fix death because we are literal freaking gods. Instead, they had Edshot sacrifice himself to somehow become Bakugo's heart, which... why? How? That makes abso-freaking-lutely no sense, but my bigger issue with this is the fact that Edshot, he's like the number 3, number 4 hero, but he's not really a main character in this series. He's always kind of, around in the background doing something. He was there when they, rescued Bakugo from the League of Villains. He's been there in most of the major fights, but he's just not a memorable character. I can't remember a single conversation this dude has had with anybody. I don't think he's ever even talked to Bakugo. And yet here and now he's like, this is it. This is my time. This is my moment. I shall sacrifice myself for the next generation. And I'm sitting here like, dude, how long have you been here for? I didn't even realize you were part of this fight. If it had been Best Jeanist who would, sacrifice himself to save Bakugo, that would have been a great scene. That would have been a truly great scene because, Bakugo is Best Jeanist's sidekick. Best Jeanist was like the first person to ever call Bakugo Explosion, Murder, God, Dynamite. He might also be the only person to ever call Bakugo that. And he's become, a real mentor to him, someone who really does care about him. So him sacrificing himself, Bakugo, would have made so much more sense. Whereas, Edshot's, I guess. And then they have this flashback where it's revealed that Edshot and Best Jeanist were members of the Textile Arts Association, and he refers to him as club president, which... what? What the freak is going on here? That makes some sense for their characters, but it's just such a weird moment to throw in here, like, oh yeah, we were in the same club, and I refer to you as club president. Just why? They are trying to make us care for a character who's had little to no impact on the story up to this point. I haven't checked the popularity polls, but I can't imagine Edshot was doing, all that well. I can't imagine there are two people who are going to be sad, heartbroken that Edshot is now dead, that Edshot has fallen. Oh, God. Though that being said, a hero sacrificing himself for a sidekick for the next generation does make a lot of sense for the series, and that's how it all started, All Might passed the power down to Deku, even though it meant that he could no longer be a hero, because he knew that, the next generation mattered more than the current one. He had to build the way for the future. And General Akbar even said, Star and Stripe sacrificed herself because All Might inspired her, and therefore she needed to pave the way for the next generation. She needed to pass it forward. So the sacrifice itself was a good move, and it's one I liked, but I just wish it was someone more relevant. I wish it was someone more important than freaking Edshot here. Also, just because, this is something that really needs to be brought up, what exactly is going to happen to Bakugo now that Edshot has essentially become his heart? Is he just going to, wake back up, be fine, go back in the battle as he was before? Or are there going to be some sort of, side effects of having a ninja become his heart? A lot of people online are wondering, is Bakugo going to get Edshot's quirk? And, maybe that would make sense, maybe, but I just don't think it would fit with Bakugo's fighting style at all. I mean, Edgeshot can turn himself into, well, basically like threads or strands, make himself, really thin and really long, and Bakugo is more about, big attacks and quick movements, so that's not really all that compatible unless maybe Bakugo somehow gains the ability to, like, stretch out his sweat and fold it into paper cranes that sail towards the enemy. Yeah, that is insane. That is actually insane, though knowing the series, it might just happen. I'm pretty sure in Vigilantes there's a scene where Best Genius is flying Edgeshot as a kite. Yeah, this series is weird. This series is very weird. Anyway, though, back to this chapter, the Doctor reveals that the existence of Eri proves that his quirk doomsday theory is correct. Huzzah! Good for you. You didn't waste your life. And he does make a fairly good point here. I mean, Eri is terrifying. She's basically a demigod. She can, invert causality. That is insane. That is overwhelmingly insane. And if, in 10, 20, 100 years, there are a couple dozen children like her, that's it. The world is completely and utterly doomed, and I'm not really sure what anybody can do about that. I mean, All For One, as evil and crazy as he might be, it might be the only solution the world actually has, He's able to steal the quirks before the person, basically manifest it before they're able to use it to just wipe out everyone around them. And in doing so, he could actually save all of humanity. So, I don't know, maybe All For One actually is a good guy and he's trying to prevent the world from being destroyed? I mean, he does this whole speech, this chapter, about how he was influenced by comics, which... such a weird line, and then goes on to say that he wants to become a person who will thwart the future of the whole world. That's all I've ever wished for. Which is, basically like saying, I want to destroy the world because I'm evil. I want to thwart the world. I want to steal from everyone. I want to steal everyone's future of the world because I am the Demon Lord. And, I said this in my last video, I really truly believe that at some point, All For One was a good man, but, his quirk absorbing quirks into his body, it basically just drove him insane. It basically, ate away his own soul until he was a monster, until he was the patchwork of quirks he is today. And again, if that is the case, it could mean that rewinding is going to revert him back to his younger form, to a form that wasn't so corrupted by all the quirks, and he might be able to, turn things around, might be able to realize, oh, God above. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I naked in the middle of this battlefield? I've made so many mistakes. I've made so many freaking mistakes today. Okay, I should probably do something about this. Well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And thus, the final battle of the series will be Deku and All For One teaming up to fight Shigaraki. Yay! Probably not. Probably not. Oh yeah, we also have the Doctor giving a rather interesting speech to All For One. Your voice, your eyes, your smile brings joy to my heart. And if I had one wish, I'd ask that your own heart be filled with hate. Yeah, somehow the Doctor is more messed up in the head than All For One is. I mean, this dude is, basically a Nazi doctor. I think that was actually where his original name came from. It was based after one of the doctors who performed experiments during the Holocaust. So... that honestly feels appropriate. I mean, a lot of people were annoyed by that. They said it was too far, but this man is so overwhelmingly twisted and messed up that calling him, a Nazi war criminal feels somewhat appropriate. I mean, again, let's not forget this dude, funded a whole lot of orphanages so that he could experiment on the children. Oh, that's wrong. That is so overwhelmingly wrong. And speaking of wrong, All For One is back in his full super muscular form, and he is completely naked. Thankfully, he manages to, swing to the ground, and then he steals an assortment of capes and quirks to give himself some sort of robe-like form. And to quote the world's greatest hero outfit designer, no capes. This is what happens when you wear capes. The Demon Lord steals them all, makes himself a nice little outfit out of them. If you hadn't worn capes, he'd spend the entire battle covering himself, trying to protect his modesty, and you'd be at a much higher advantage. But because you wore capes, the Demon Lord now has a full outfit, and he's going to use it to destroy the entire world. That's what happens when you wear freaking capes. They're just so non-practical. I mean, seriously, are any of these people even flyers? Why do they all have freaking capes? Oh, and it was confirmed, like I was theorizing in the past video, that All For One is in fact dying. He was able to activate rewinding, but he isn't actually able to stop it. So he's basically just going to keep rewinding to a younger and younger version of himself until he eventually, unbirths himself. Oh, that's going to be unpleasant. That's going to be very, very unpleasant, and I'm very excited to see it. Again, I would so love to see him turn to, like, younger and younger and younger. Like, this is me when I was 6 years old. I am the Demon Lord. I shall destroy you all. Oh, that'd be adorable. And I really have to ask where exactly, Hawk's boundless confidence comes from, as he says Endeavor just needs to deliver one more solid blow. Why? Why would you think that? This is All For One in his prime, the form that even All Might could not put down. Why do you think one good blow from Endeavor can stop him? Oh, that is such bad logic, Hawks, though I guess at this point, he's really overwhelmingly desperate. And speaking of desperate, back in America, the president has decided, we're just gonna let the Demon Lord do whatever he wants, because we don't think we can win here. Seriously? Seriously? I mean, I know manga doesn't have the best record of depicting Americans in a positive light, but seriously? According to Horikoshi, America's response to Shigaraki and All For One would basically be, you know what, we're just gonna let him take over the world. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. That would not be our response. I can promise you that would not be our response. And even if it's the president's response, it would not be the country's response. We would convince the president, we need to go to war, we need to fight this dude. Or we'd overthrow the president. That seems also like something we'd do. Unpleasant. Or, forget the president, forget the government, forget all of that. We would just go to Japan and fight Shigaraki ourselves. Not me, obviously. I am a coward. Seriously, any war breaks out, I am staying right here. I'm going to hide under my bed. But, there are certainly Americans who would be willing to go to war, especially after, their number one hero, Star and Stripe, died fighting this dude. They'd want revenge. They would, there'd be a whole quirk militia gathering up, getting on boats, and sailing over Japan to try and take down Shigaraki. They probably wouldn't actually speak Japanese, so they wouldn't really know who the villains and who the heroes are. And given our track record and our poor geography skills, it's also quite likely we might end up invading China by mistake, but we would try. We would abso-freaking-lutely try. I mean, last time we saw Deku a while back, he seemed to be encountering somebody somewhere, so there's a good chance that was, Americans who decided to defy the president's orders and came over to Japan to lend a helping hand. I mean, let's not forget the Star and Stripe didn't actually have clearance to go to Japan, nor did she have clearance to launch missiles at Japan. Which, was definitely a war crime. But she still did it because that is the freaking American way. So hopefully Agpar here can convince the president to change his mind, and if not, we are still going to see a whole bunch of Americans just, storming to get on boats, to steal yachts, do whatever they need to do to get Japan and start kicking some villain butts. Please. I would really like to see Americans depicted in a positive light in manga just once, please. I know we're not the best country in the world, but we try, sometimes we try, honestly. Anyway, though, then Edgeshot basically tells Mirko, hey, I need you to bite Shigaraki a whole bunch so that I'm able to basically turn myself into a heart for this kid I've never actually spoken to before. Which, hey, it's a plan. It's a plan, I guess. And just please let me know what you all down below. Where exactly is Deku in all of this? We haven't seen him in a while. Nor have we seen Toga and Uraraka. I mean, that's the one fight we really haven't gotten too much focus on. Oh yeah, and we still have, Spinner fighting against Kirishima, trying to free Gigantomachia. That's a fight we have gotten very little focus on so far. I wonder what's going on with that. And what's going to happen to Bakugo? Is he going to wake up? Is he going to die? I mean, probably not at this point. And if he does wake up in this fight, what's going to happen as a result of him having, a ninja as his heart? That's got to have some side effects on him. I mean, that's got to have some side effects. Or I feel like, they just have Best Jeanist, stitching up the heart or doing something like that. But the fact that, Horikoshi intentionally had Edgeshot become his heart tells me this is somehow, some way going to make Bakugo a stronger fighter. It's going to give him some sort of new abilities he can be able to use to actually put some damage on Shigaraki. And I'm also just seeing a lot of people online complaining about Edgeshot would sacrifice himself to save Bakugo. But let's not forget, even though Bakugo basically got one-shotted by Shigaraki before, he's also basically the only person who's done actual permanent damage to him. He was able to, basically scar the right side of his face, so that's a good sign. I mean, I think the reason why Sun Eater wasn't able to do any permanent damage to him was because, he's a long-distance fighter. He launches big, huge cannon from very far away, and Shigaraki was able to put up a whole bunch of hands to defend himself. But Bakugo has the speed to get really close and do some damage right in Shigaraki's face that he's not able to defend against. So, not a terrible decision, and it does fit in with, the whole theme of this series about paving the way for the next generation of heroes. But anyway, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on my next rant about Bakugo coming back to life. Now, utterly ridiculous it is. And until then, peace!